Hello everyone, I am Errant Wizard and welcome back to Let's Play Mass Effect. Last time was pretty eventful. We presented our evidence to the Council. They finally saw the error of their ways and decided that Saren was evil and needed to be taken down. And to handle the situation, they made us a Spectre. So now we have the full authority of the Council to go wherever we want in the galaxy and investigate and eliminate whatever threat we need to in our pursuit of Saren to take him down once and for all. Spectres are technically supposed to be extremely independent and not beholden to any national government or system government, really answer to no one except the Council. However, since we're the first human Spectre, the Systems Alliance has seen fit to aid us in our mission, and so we've been given command of the Normandy itself. Normandy is an incredibly advanced ship with a number of state-of-the-art stealth technologies and a capable warship. So we are now going to be able to use the Normandy to pick our destination and head out into the galaxy. Before we head out on our mission, let's take a quick tour of the ship now that we have command. So, come down here. We saw this level of the ship briefly after Eden Prime. We woke up in the med bay over here. And remember, I told you guys before when we were on the ship that we could have spoken to Dr. Chakwas, but I decided I was gonna leave it for now, but now seems like a pretty good time to speak with her about her background and her role on the ship.
Yes, Commander? Is there something you need?
Yeah. Want to know more about the crew since I'm now in command.
How did you end up serving on an Alliance ship?
I enlisted right out of med school. Earth always seemed boring to me. Too safe, too secure. I figured the colonies were teeming with exotic adventure. I wanted to travel the stars, tending the wounds of tough soldiers with piercing eyes and sensitive souls. Turns out military life isn't quite as romantic as I'd imagined. But humanity needs the Alliance if we want to keep expanding through the Traverse, and the Alliance always needs good doctors. So I stayed on to do my part.
Ever think you made the wrong choice?
Sometimes I think about opening a private practice back on Earth, or maybe taking a position at one of the new med centers out in the colonies. But there's something special about working on soldiers. If I left the Alliance now, I'd feel like I was abandoning them.
So yeah, there's two medical professionals that we talked to in the game. Dr. Chakwas is here, and Dr. Michelle is back on the Citadel, and both of them made very conscious choices about how they wanted to practice medicine, and I love that they sort of set up these two different views. Dr. Michelle specifically says that she really wanted to help people, but she hated the idea of just all the time patching up wounded soldiers, so she decided to not pursue a career in the military. So we can ask her about Caden. It might not be obvious why we would ask her about Caden, but that'll kind of make sense as she talks.
How well do you know the Lieutenant?
I'd never worked with him before this mission, but he has an impressive service record, over 12 special commendations. Tends to keep to himself, though. Maybe because of the headaches. It's not easy being an L2.
What's an L2?
What does that have to do with it?
Well, most biotics now use the L3 implants. Lieutenant Alenko was wired with the old L2 configuration. Sometimes there are complications.
What kind of complications?
Severe mental disabilities, insanity, crippling physical pain. There's a long list of horrific side effects. Caden's lucky. He just gets migraines.
I should go.
Goodbye, Commander.
So yeah, it's another interesting thing about the world. Humans can use biotic powers, but they can't use them without the aid of certain implants placed in their body that allow them to control the electrical fields and whatnot. Every human biotic has implants of some variety. Caden was among the presumably the I don't know whether he was the first generation of human trials or if he was the second generation, but he apparently had one of the earlier models, the L2 version of the implants. Shepard, as a if playing as a biotic, has L3 implants, so don't have a whole lot of the side effects that some of them get. And we'll learn a little bit more about the biotics and about the struggle that they've had to go through as we continue through the game. If we head over this way, we see Caden is standing here. He's working on some making some repairs and adjustments or something. I'm not sure what. And we could speak to him, but Caden as well as Ashley, we've had a lot of interactions with before up until this point, so they don't have a whole lot of dialogue right now. As we progress the story a little bit further, they will have more dialogue, so we'll be coming back to talk to them in the future. But now that we're in command, we can take this little elevator down to a cargo hold area. Now, down here in the cargo hold are 3 of our squad members: Garrus Vicarian, former CSEC officer. Ashley Williams is over here working on some guns and I guess filing a report. And over here is Rex, the Krogan mercenary that was hired by the Shadow Broker to take out Fist. Any of these we could speak to. In the interest of time, I'm not going to speak to all of them. As I said, Ashley doesn't have much new to say about the situation, much like Caden. Let's talk to Rex and see what he has to say.
Nice ship you've got, Shepard.
Thanks.
What can I do for you?
Kind of, want to know more about you. You kind of flew off the handle with Fist. Want to make sure you're going to be okay if I take you out on a mission.
What's your story, Rex?
There's no story. Go ask the Quarian if you want stories.
You Krogans live for centuries. Don't tell me you haven't had a few interesting adventures.
Well, there was this one time the Turians almost wiped out our entire race. That was fun.
I heard about that. They almost did the same to us.
It's not the same.
It seems pretty much the same to me.
So your people were infected with a genetic mutation?
Well, no.
An infection that makes only a few in 1,000 children survive birth?
Not exactly.
And I suppose it's destroying your entire species?
I suppose it isn't all the same.
I don't expect you to understand, but don't compare humanity's fate with the Krogan.
I was just making conversation. I wasn't trying to upset you.
Your ignorance doesn't upset me, Shepard. As for the Krogan, I gave up on them long ago. The genophage infected us, but it's not what's killing us.
And so we can ask him some follow-up questions about that. We brought up that both of our species have had conflicts with the Turians, and Shepard tried to say that the Turians tried to wipe out humanity, which is kind of true. So the story of what happened is this: humanity found a mass relay that was orbiting Pluto, which we were able to activate, and that connected us to what we now call the Exodus Cluster. In the Exodus Cluster, we formed a bunch of colonies. Eden Prime was one of the first. And then once we had those colonies set up, we started exploring the rest of the galaxy, exploring as much of the galaxy as we could. We came across at least one other mass relay, and we tried to activate it. Unfortunately, we were being monitored by the Turians. There's a council law that says that no one is allowed to activate a dormant mass relay until they know exactly which other relay it's going to connect to. Because the mass relays the big ones, the primary ones, they only connect one point to one point, but they can connect, hundreds of thousands of light years away. So if you just open them up at random, you have no idea what you're walking into. So humanity was unaware of that law, but the Turians felt that the threat was large enough that they attacked. They attacked our ships that were trying to activate the relay, and then they chased us back to the colony, bombed the colony, and eventually took it over. This was a major loss, and we geared up for war. And the rest of the Systems Alliance fleet came in and repelled the Turians, pushed them off the colony, pushed them back out of the system. And that encounter has sort of set the stage for all of humanity's relations in the galaxy. The Turians are seen as the military power of the galaxy. They have the strongest military, the strongest fleet. So the fact that we were able to beat them back, even temporarily, was a sign of major strength, and it's part of why we've been given a lot of considerations over other non-council races that have been around a lot longer. But it's also why the Turians kind of distrust us, and why humanity as a whole kind of distrusts the Turians. So that was our first encounter with an alien race, and it ended up as a military struggle. But the Turians also fought with the Krogans, and they apparently used some kind of biological warfare or something and create some sort of sterilization in their species. We're going to learn a lot more about the genophage as the game progresses, but right now we can ask Rex a few questions. So let's ask him about. Let's see. He said that it's killing the entire Krogan species. So.
Are your people really dying?
We're sure not getting any stronger. We're too spread out. None of us are interested in staying in our own system.
Lots of species have left their homes and prospered.
But they go to colonize new worlds. We're not settlers. We're warriors. We want to fight. So we leave. Hire ourselves out. And most of us never go back.
Seems pretty brutal.
What can you tell me about the genophage?
Ask the Solarians if you want details. They made it. All I know, it makes breeding nearly impossible. Thousands die in stillbirth, and most never get that far. Every Krogan is infected, every one. And no one's rushing to find a cure.
Really?
Why don't the Krogan try to find a cure?
When was the last time you saw a Krogan scientist?
Well, you're the first one I've met.
You ask a Krogan, would he rather find a cure for the genophage or fight for credits? He'll choose fighting every time. It's just who we are, Shepard. I can't change that. Nobody can.
Fair enough, I suppose. So yeah, so there's a lot more going on to the Krogan than meets the eye.
So long, Rex.
There's a couple other things that you can do down here in this cargo bay. One is over here on the side of the wall. There's this row of lockers. There's one for each of your squad members. You bring up a inventory screen for one of your squad members, and you can change their equipment, change which weapons they're using, which mods they have installed, change their armor, all that stuff. So that way you can change all of your squad mates' equipment without having to, select them for a squad and bring them down to a planet and then change everything, which is kind of useful. One other thing I didn't point out, I don't think I've pointed out before, is you can sell all of your old items for credits, but the other thing, another option you have is you can take those spare rifles and bullets and whatnot and convert them into Omnigel. And if we convert something into Omnigel, if you look down at the bottom under resources, the third category is Omnigel. I'm not exactly sure what that symbol's supposed to be, but it's Omnigel. Omnigel is supposed to be this special kind of nanite paste substance that can affect electronic and mechanical systems. So there's two main uses for Omnigel. One is to repair the Mako. The Mako is this tank thing over here behind Garrus. The Mako is what we'll be using to explore planets when we go down to the surface. Sometimes, especially places where there isn't a spaceport for us to walk around in. If we ever take damage on the Mako, we can use Omnigel to make repairs. The other use of Omnigel, and probably the one you'll be using it for a lot more often, is to instantly unlock chests and lock doors. You still have to have the appropriate skill at the appropriate rank to be able to even attempt to unlock it. Once you do, you can skip past the minigame. Also, if you fail the minigame, fail the manual unlocking, you can use Omnigel to unlock it anyway. Usually by the end of the game, I find I have way more Omnigel than I ever needed, but it's still useful to have a supply on hand, just in case. The other thing is this Alliance Requisition Officer over here. He's going to act as your store on the Normandy. You can sell him all of your excess junk that you've picked up on your missions. You can also buy new equipment from him. At the start of the game, he doesn't have a whole lot of a large selection of items for you, but you can, when you're going down and talking to other merchants down on the various planets we're going to be visiting, sometimes they'll sell things called licenses, and each license is for a particular line. The lore idea is that you have a license with a particular manufacturer, and so you can this guy can purchase new equipment from them. Mechanically, it just opens up his inventory quite a lot and gives you access to more types of weapons and armor and mods. Down that hallway is the engine room. In there is Tally and Engineer Adams. We'll talk to them later, because right now I think it's probably about time for us to head on and progress the story. So we're going to come up these stairs here, back up to the main deck. But standing here, right here in the CIC, is Navigator Presley. Since we've been made the commanding officer of the Normandy, Presley is now our XO, or our second in command, our number one if you're a Star Trek fan. So.
If anyone has to take over for Captain Anderson, I'm glad it's you. I'm not sure about having non-humans on our ship, though.
Yeah, he doesn't exactly trust a lot of non-humans. In the conversation we had with him before, he mentioned that his father or grandfather, I actually can't remember, fought in the First Contact War, which was that conflict I mentioned with the Turians. So his family has a lot of sort of ingrained racism towards other species.
We're all on the same team here, Presley.
With all due respect, ma'am, that's what they said about Nihilus. Look how that turned out.
Yeah, but Nihilus wasn't the problem. He's kind of lumping Nihilus in with Saren just because they're Turians.
Speak freely, Presley. I want to know if you have a problem with non-humans.
It's not that, Commander. Humanity has always handled its own problems. Saren attacked one of our colonies. We should be the ones to stop him. We don't need their help.
I'm going to say it's not just our problem, because at least as far as Shepard is concerned, the main threat is the Reapers. And they're a threat to every species in the galaxy. So yeah, I guess it's not really a human concern. or it's not just a human concern.
This is bigger than humanity. Saren's a threat to every species in the galaxy, and I'll welcome anyone who wants to help me bring him down.
I guess so. Maybe I'm just stuck in the old ways of thinking. But don't worry, Commander, this won't be a problem.
Well, fair enough. We'll ask him about his situation. He is our first officer after all. We should know a little bit about
How
him.
did you end up assigned to the Normandy?
I signed up with the Alliance as a navigator right out of school, following in my grandfather's footsteps, I guess. My first posting was on the Agincourt. We were at Elysium during the Skillian Blitz. A massive fleet of alien raiders hit the colony, trying to wipe it out. They had the numbers, but their ships were no match for an Alliance frigate. It was a slaughter. We couldn't even keep track of how many ships they lost.
Wow. He mentions Elysium and the Skillian Blitz. That's a rather recent conflict. If we'd chosen the ruthless background option, we would have been at Elysium, and that Shepard sent almost their entire squad to their deaths to try and defend against the Blitz. So,
How'd you end up on the Normandy?
I got my officer's commission after Elysium. Must have made an impression on the right people. Captain asked for me when he was picking his crew.
well, if Captain Anderson was impressed with him, I guess he's okay in our books.
Carry on, Presley.
Yes, ma'am.
So yeah, let's head up here to the galaxy map. So this is the galaxy map. It shows us information about the different planets that we're visiting, and also allows us to pick a new destination. So each planet, or in this case space station, has a little entry like this that tells us a little bit about the place we're visiting and gives us a few statistics. So the Citadel. Supposedly constructed by the long-extinct Protheans, this colossal deep space station serves as the capital of the Citadel Council. Gravity is simulated through rotation and is a comfortable 1.02 standard Gs on the Ward, and a light 0.3 standard Gs on the Presidium ring. Just a little brief description about the Citadel. We'll hit zoom out, and now we see that the Citadel is part of the Widow system, which I guess is named after this star that it's orbiting. If we zoom out again, we'll see the Widow system is part of the Serpent Nebula, which is this purple nebula here. And then if we zoom out again, we start to see the galaxy as a whole. Now each of these little blue circles are places we can go, and if you notice those red connections, you know, some of them, like the Horsehead Nebula, Exodus Cluster, we can go directly from the Citadel straight there, so they have primary mass relays that link directly to those particular systems. But if we want to go somewhere else, like the Gemini Sigma system over here, or cluster rather, we have to go through 2 relays, make 3 jumps. So we have to go to the Exodus Cluster first, and then to the Hades Gamma Cluster, and then to the Gemini Sigma Cluster. In game terms, it doesn't matter, we just click a system and we're instantly there. But from a lore perspective, that's what's actually happening. We have 3 of these clusters that have little tags on them. These are our 3 leads for finding Saren. Novaria, which is a frozen world that's dominated by corporate interests. They've had some sporadic reports of Geth activity. Pharos is a human colony that's been set up on an ancient Prothean city that's gone out of contact. The Artemis Tau cluster, somewhere in there is Liara Tassoni's archaeological dig. Liara is the daughter of Matriarch Benezia, who we heard on the recording that Tally recovered, that helped prove that Saren had gone rogue. I'm going to go to the Pharos colony first, because it's a human colony that's gone out of contact, so it might be Geth. Let's head to the Attican Beta cluster. You'll see the Attican Beta cluster has 2 systems that we can investigate. The Hercules system and the Theseus system, which is where Pharos actually is. So let's head straight to Pharos. Travels into the system, yes. Alright, and here we are in the Theseus system. See, there are a number of planets that make up the system, but we're just going to go straight to Pharos and see what we can find out. Click on Pharos, get a little description. The Exogeny Corporation has founded a pilot colony on Pharos to explore the Prothean ruins that blanket 2/3 of the planet's landmass. The atmosphere is fouled with dust. Terrestrial travel is hampered by crumbled debris dozens of meters deep. There are indications that Pharos was a much colder world in the past. Pharos has 2 large moons, Orkin, the furthest, and Vardet. And then there's a little description of stats on the colony. So, let's land on Pharos. When we land on major planets like this, we don't immediately go down to the planet, so we could take this time to go and re-equip it, stuff, sell things, talk to other crew members if we wanted. But when we're ready to go, we come over here to the airlock and hit the airlock button, and this is where we choose our squad. So we can choose anyone we want. Probably want someone that can soak up a bunch of damage and act as our sort of shield walls. We'll pick Ashley, and then we need someone who knows tech stuff and can unlock doors and things for us, so I'm going to bring Tally with us. I'd accept.
Equalizing interior pressure with exterior atmosphere. Logged. The commanding officer is ashore. Exo Presley has the deck.
Okay, so this is Pharos. Let's see what we've got up here. Some guy.
We saw your ship. Fidan wants to speak with you immediately.
Really? Who's that?
Who's Fidan?
He's our leader. He needs your help to prepare for the Geth.
Wait, the Geth are here?
Push. Please, up the stairs past the freighter.
Oh, yeah, no, they're definitely here.